As an organization, it's even more important to learn how to shift the model of communication that you operate in, because it's not just an individual problem, it's the problem of an organization. So you need to revisit your current assumptions and say, how can we look at them from the point of view of a changed environment? What are the preconceptions that we've been holding true that might have completely changed over the past decade? How can we rethink our organization and the way we do things to be more successful and more effective in a constantly changing environment? And for that, we've created a model around 4 pillars. The first of these 4 pillars is to see the web as the hub of your communication. So it's really that you use the web to integrate your communication and to pull together all the different things you do, including events, including online communication, including traditional press, but really that the web pulls all your stories together. The second pillar is that we're back to the age of conversations. And in fact, when you go back to Greek democracy, democracy was about having vigorous debates on a range of topics, and the web has brought that back in the sense that we can really have engaged conversations with thousands, if not millions of people on a variety of topics. And that's what organizations need to understand, and they need to decide how they can organize themselves so they can be part of these conversations and drive them. The third pillar is that we need to look at organizations and help the integration of all the different parts of the communication activities in these organizations. So there is often a public relations department, a communication department, public affairs, web, events, and they're often very separated. What we need to do today is to really pull those together so that there's an integrated strategy that connects all these different things through the web in the first dimension, the first pillar, which is the web as hub. And finally, we need to bring real innovation in how we do things inside every organization, because we don't know what will work, and we need to be open to new ideas, and we need to test new ideas. So it's really important to bring that thinking into the organization. Now, Brussels has a particular set of problems in this environment. As we all know, we're going through massive crises. We have Greece and Spain hitting the headlines every day. We have a growing anti-European sentiments. We have a financial crisis that dominates the news cycle. And we have a growing gap between citizens and the policymakers and the people who are supposed to drive Brussels. And in Brussels, people seem to live within these frozen paradigms where they're trying to hold on to a previous reality, and they haven't yet accepted that reality has changed dramatically and they need to adapt to it. And they're in fact protected by what many people call the Brussels bubble. And that's allowing people to continue to function as if the changes around us hadn't occurred. Now, the thing is, there are some positive examples, and we can see certain things that really show that it's possible to do things differently. The European Parliament has a Facebook group which has over 400,000 people and creates some quite interesting engagement, talks about different topics, shows that it can be done, and shows that even an institution as large and as complicated can have some direct interaction. There are individuals like Ian Anderson, who we'll meet again later on in this webinar through his interview, who've actually done some very successful targeted communication efforts within the European Commission to reach out to specific audience, in this case interpreters, and showing us that Facebook, videos, etc. can be a very powerful tool in reaching a very specific target audience and being successful at doing that. And then we have the case of Aurélie, who was running the social media communication at Eurocontrol during the cloud crisis, and was able with Twitter to really communicate to thousands and thousands of people around Europe and help them get information, get reassurance, and get a better understanding through her initiative and through her creativity. So these show us that it is possible to do things differently. But as a communicator, everyone needs to think about their particular circumstances, and what I wanted to do is to kind of give 7 steps of how you can move your communication online. The first step is that you need to take this personally. This is really not something that you can ask a specialist to do on your behalf. You can work with people, but first and foremost, you need to gain direct experience of the channels and experiment with them. Secondly, it's really important that what you do is part of a strategy. And in order to define your strategy of how you're going to use these tools, you need to do some research. You need to find out what's out there, what other people are doing, who's being successful, what people are saying about it. And there's a huge amount of information that's out there if you spend the time on search engines to try and find this information, and then shape a broad strategy to know why you're doing what you're doing, and not create a Facebook group because somebody in the organization said you must create a Facebook group, but really have a strategy that shows you how to bring this together. Then you need to find a team, and there isn't really a defined place to find people, so you need to look across the organization at who is innovative, who understands these tools, and how they can help you to reach your goals. Fourth, what's incredibly powerful about the web is your ability to measure everything and apply Kaizen. So you can see if people are following you on Twitter, if people are visiting your website, if they're commenting on your posts, etc. And you can apply learning each time you do something. So there is a great deal that you can learn if you're systematic about applying your learnings to each new project. And 5, you need to remember that it's all about politics, and not in this case European politics, but politics of an organization. You need to bring about the web as a core strategic tool and sell it to the right people in your organization so that they buy into what you're trying to do. If not, they'll consider it a marginal effort that doesn't touch the core of what you're trying to achieve. And 6, you need to get ready to bring down those silos. Every organization is fragmented into different territories, and the web cuts across those territories. So you need to find ways to connect the different departments and bring the stories together. But it's really important that you get the basics right. There's no point in doing this grand campaign online if you don't have a clear story for a specific audience, and that you're ready to open up your communication, because once you're online, you have to open up to people and you have to engage. So you have to be ready to do some back and forth. Now, I want to take you back to this image of London that we saw during the riots. And a few days after the riots, Londoners came together and they wanted to show the world that there wasn't just this terrible image of London that people had just seen, but actually people wanted to come together to clean up the streets of London. And they did this using the very same tools that had been allegedly used to create the riots or to exacerbate them. And I think it teaches us a fundamental lesson about how the web and social media is apolitical. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. The key question is, how can you use these tools in order to meet your own objective? And to finish, I want to come back to the story I had started with Coney. After my kids had shown me the video and asked me to support it, I had to make up my mind about whether or not this was worth supporting. And there was a lot of controversy around the campaign, around the organization. So I went online and I found that I had a journalist friend who had actually written a book on the search for Joseph Kony. Actually, his name is Matt Green. And he was somewhere in Pakistan. And I actually started chatting with him on Facebook, asking him whether or not this campaign was worth supporting. I was reading the different blogs, the different comments, watching the different videos. And eventually he told me, listen, whatever you think about the campaign and the organization Invisible Children, it doesn't change the fact that this guy is evil and that it's a good thing that he's brought to the attention of the international community. And so he convinced me that it was worth supporting this campaign with reservations, and basically helped me to form a political view on an issue that was brought about to me through these social media channels, and my decision was made through the same channels. So I believe that these tools are fundamental in determining the future of politics and the future of our behavior.